I do really like Suzaku. He's a very divisive character. A lot of fans love Suzaku, think he's one of the best characters in Code Geass, and a lot of fans really don't like Suzaku and think that he's one of the worst characters in Code Geass. I think that Suzaku is a character that adds a lot to the story. He's the second most important character in the story. At times, Code Geass feels like a dual protagonist story between Lelouch and Suzaku. I think that Lelouch is the overall main protagonist more so than Suzaku, but Suzaku is very prominent in Code Geass. And I do think that Suzaku is fascinating because of his storyline with Lelouch, and a lot of what I love about the story of Code Geass comes from the complicated dynamic between Lelouch and Suzaku, because it's not a classic hero versus villain story. Lelouch isn't completely heroic, Suzaku isn't completely villainous. It's a situation where Lelouch and Suzaku have both done a lot of bad things, but they also have good intentions. They have similar goals, but they go about things much differently, and it's not a case where one of them is completely evil and one is completely good. And I really find that dynamic incredibly interesting, because it's not as simple, well, one character's the wonderful hero to root for to stop the evil villain to root against. It's so complicated and interesting, because Suzaku could have just been an antagonistic character without redeeming qualities in Lelouch's way, or they could have gone the other direction where Suzaku was just the good guy and it was Lelouch that was the bad guy. And I think it's really interesting what they do with Suzaku. And two close childhood friends having this complicated rivalry where they both want to accomplish very similar things, but they have much different feelings about morality, much different feelings about what to do in order to accomplish their goals. And I think that is incredibly fascinating, and it's something that I didn't just appreciate on a first viewing. It's something that I continue thinking about after several viewings. The dynamic between Lelouch and Suzaku is so fascinating, so brilliantly written, and I love the different dynamics and layers, and I love seeing things between both of their point of views, where there's points where Lelouch could seem like the more unreasonable one, but it could also come across like Suzaku's the more unreasonable one at other times. And it's so interesting to see two characters that are so complicated when it comes to their morality, where they have good qualities and bad qualities. It's not as simple a hero or a villain sort of thing, and I find that incredibly intriguing to watch. And I think people could be wondering, if all that stuff is so brilliant, why would Suzaku be such a divisive character? I think it's because Suzaku could come across more pretentious than Lelouch, more self-righteous in the way that he acts. Where Lelouch could seem like a cool sort of anti-hero sort of character, where Suzaku tries to seem more like the good guy in the situation, the morally responsible one who follows the rules and listens to people and stuff like that. But Suzaku has also done a lot of bad things, so it's easy to see Lelouch as the cool one that can admit that he is very flawed, where Suzaku seems more in denial about that. So Suzaku could come across more unlikable to people, and I think that is very understandable to feel that way. I think when it comes to the writing and adding to the plot, Suzaku is one of the best characters in Code Geass. When it comes to the personality, because of how close-minded Suzaku can be at certain points in the story, there are characters that are more charming to watch, that have more of a fun personality, and in the complicated dynamic between Lelouch and Suzaku, uh, because Lelouch feels less hypocritical and can feel more honest about how he's not the most heroic, it's easy to see Lelouch as the more appealing character to watch. And I think it's a thing where I think how much you enjoy Suzaku not only depends on how much you can tolerate his personality, but also whether you prefer really good writing or a really fun personality. I think what I mean by that is one of my favorite characters in Code Geass, uh, Earl Asplund. I love Lloyd Asplund. He is hilarious. He is incredibly entertaining. I love his personality a lot. He doesn't have the most complicated storyline. Suzaku definitely has the more interesting storyline, but personality wise, Lloyd has a more dynamic, sort of fun personality, is a more fun character to follow. So I think a lot of the appeal of Suzaku comes from the writing, him being a great counterpart to Lelouch and their complicated rivalry and stuff like that. He's not the most fun character to follow, but he is a great character that adds so much to the plot of Code Geass.